Hi, are we all ready to go?
Kush, let's just wait, Kush, until they confirm that the stars have joined. Let's just give it a minute.
I've got the yes. Let's go. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kush Lakhani, and I'll be representing Warwick India Forum. Warwick India Forum is the only Indian academic student-led society at the University of Warwick. Our main goal is to generate an awareness and cultivate an understanding of the world's largest democracy. We invite and exchange views on the political and socio-economic development of our country, as well as provide a platform to appreciate its rich culture and heritage. Over the last 10 to 11 years of our existence, we've had the great fortune to host some eminent personalities from Indian business, politics, sport, cinema, and art. Today, we are proud to have partnered with Nisao to co-host the cast and team of the upcoming Bollywood film Toofan, which is set to premiere on Amazon Prime on the 16th of July. Our partner in hosting this event, Nisao, is the largest and oldest body representing students, young professionals, and alumni of Indian origin across the UK. Now, let's move to the movie. You guys saw the trailer as you were coming in, and we can see how amazing of a release this one's going to be. An interesting fact about Toofan is that it's the first movie on Amazon Prime to premiere both simultaneously in Hindi and English across 240 countries and territories, setting an extremely high standard for other films to follow. Let's go on and introduce our panel joining us on the event today. Now, these are extremely hardworking and talented individuals who need absolutely no introduction, but I'm going to introduce them anyways because of the formalities of the event. We'll start with the actor, filmmaker, producer, musician, UN Women's Goodwill Ambassador. Is there anything that this man hasn't done? Farhan Akthar. Alongside him, we've got Mrunal Thakur, who has played a great role in many films, including the critically acclaimed Love Sonia. We've got Ritesh Sidhwani, the co-founder and producer, the co-founder of XL Entertainment, which has produced some of Bollywood's finest, such as Dil Chahta Hai, as well as fantastic TV shows such as Mirzapur. And finally, Rakyesh Omprakash Mehra, the national award-winning director for films such as Bhag Milka Bhag and, of course, Rang De Basanti. A huge welcome to our friends, students across the UK, as well as our friends in the media for joining us at this event today, which marks the global press conference for the release of Toofan. We're going to move on now. I'm going to pass over to Ms. Sanam Arora, who is the chairperson and founder of Nisao. She is a strategy consultant specializing in finance with a particular love for Indian cinema. Sanam, before I pass over to you, can I just have a quick notification for everyone? Could you please switch off the notification on your phone? And if you're going to ask a question, could you make sure that any WhatsApp and anything on the side is switched off so we can hear you clearly? Thank you so much. On to you, Sanam.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And Khush, thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, guys. I know it's getting late here, but we're here having a global press conference and a wonderful interaction at Warwick, hopefully today. So thanks for joining us. Let me just quickly get started. Farhan, by the way, you might not know, Javed ji, Shabara ji, there are honorary fellows. They were our first honorary fellows for the National Indian Students Union in the UK. When we celebrated 100 years of Indian cinema. Right. And now we're here with you and this wonderful stellar panel today. So thanks for joining us. And let me just get started very quickly. So my first question, Rakesh ji, is for you actually. My father's quite a sports buff, and he watches cricket and tennis and football and what have you, right? But the one thing he always watches with the most intensity and with the most passion is boxing. And I've never quite understood it, but he once said to me, he said, feel the emotion, feel every punch, feel every hit, and there is no greater sport. So, and that's the one thing that has stayed with me whenever I think about boxing. And that was the one thing that came to my mind when I saw the trailer, this sort of myriad of emotions, and that's the word that stayed with me, emotion. So Let me begin by asking you, Rakesh ji, what's the emotion you have wanted to portray through this film, and what do you want your audiences to walk away with?
That's a complex one. How to answer that? And I was familiar with football, cricket, hockey, swimming, basketball, but not boxing before I got into Toofan. Familiar in the sense I knew about boxing. I saw some bout, but never very close to the sport. So in Toofan, I think while boxing is an amazing backdrop, but more than that, it for me it's an amazing metaphor for life also. Life is gonna deliver us punches, it's gonna knock us down time and again, and there will be seldom a moment where you'll even get a count of 10 and also to stand back again. But you have to stand up and then face up to the next punch. And the last one standing is the winner. So boxing gave me that, and the similarity in Toofan and boxing and life is about life is going to put you down in many ways which you don't even know, and going to surprise you all the time. And just get back on your feet and get back to it again and again and again. And it's a very inspiring story. It's a very heartfelt story. It's a very human story. It's a story about relationships. It's a story about making choices. I feel completely blessed that the story chose me to direct this one, and amazing, absolutely amazing team in front and behind the camera. I'm absolutely feel so lucky about that.
No, that's wonderful, the way you explained the fact that, boxing is a metaphor for life. And, if I take this to you, Farhan, at the heart of it, the fact that this is about life, the fact that this is, as Rakesh said, about human relationships, is that what was it, what, from your point of view, was at the heart of it for you as well? And what's your take been on having done this film? And what have you taken away from it?
Well, I mean, there is that. What Rakesh said, I think, is absolutely true. It applies as much to the sport as it applies to life. To add to it, if anything, I would say that no matter how prepared you are, as you may be in life, you may have the best education, you may have a great start because of which family you're from. Eventually, life is going to test your character. So when you enter the ring, no matter how fit you feel you are, no matter how strong you are, your character will be tested. Are you strong enough? Are you good enough? Are you resilient enough? Are you focused enough? Do you want it more than the other person? And boxing does all that. It represents all those qualities in a person. So to me, it's also about that. Boxing as a sport vis-a-vis life. And in terms of a takeaway from the film, I mean, right now, if I'll speak to you about it, it'll feel like I'm speaking in a vacuum, because maybe not many people of you have seen the film yet. But there is a huge takeaway in this film for me. Firstly, as somebody who collaborated in creating it, and hopefully when you watch it, you'll feel the same, which is of forgiveness, of acceptance, regardless of difference, of love being more important than hate. What is it about boxing that is so brutal yet so beautiful? That's how beautiful, that's what love is in this world. We live in a brutal world, and love is the only thing that makes it bearable. So it's all these things that are in the film that work in many different layers and on many different levels that hopefully you will experience and you will feel when you watch this film.
That's actually really in many ways, quite empowering for a lot of us because, we are hopefully recovering from COVID soon, this world.
Absolutely.
A lot of our audience is students today, people who are embarking on new careers, people who are studying abroad and, are obviously very ambitious, but also need that kind of push and as you
Yeah.
say, resilience to get through, a world that's changing very fast. But, Mrunal, one thing that struck me about, boxing again was that it's perhaps one close sport as Rakesh and Farhan have just said, that's very close to real life. Even the terminology and the impact that that's had on language. We draw the number of everyday phrases we draw from boxing, whether it's knockout or push your punches or low blow and keep your guard up, or whether it's in your corner. And I felt when I saw the trailer that your character becomes that corner for Farhan. So, and perhaps helps him build some of that resilience. But talk to me about your character and how you became that corner for Farhan.
Thank you. Well, this character is very special, very close to my heart. When I first read about it, something about Ananya, my heart started racing. I was palpitating and I was hungry to perform a character like Ananya. It is definitely one character that every Indian Bollywood actress would love to play because the way she's positioned, the way she's, Ajju calls Ananya Adiyal. She's stubborn, she's firm, she's confident, she's independent, at the same time she's liberal. And somewhere down the line, the initial 2-3 weeks were difficult for me, when it comes to getting into the skin of the character. But as I started performing with Paresh ji, with Farhan, be it with Supriya ji, I kind of understood that, it is so important for a character like Ananya to exist. And I'm so thankful to the writers to write a character like such a strong character like Ananya, because I believe that there is one Ananya in everyone's lives, be it your life or be it all the people who are attending this press con right now. We need that one person in our life who would always take us from the wrong track and put it on the right track and tell you that, hey, you know what, you were distracted. This is what you're supposed to do. But she's not somebody who's, who'll force her decision. She's a very simple girl. There are two choices. We all have two choices. It's just that we need to choose the right one. So Ananya is this girl who introduces Aziz Ali, the champion, to when it comes to Ajju Bhai. She works as a catalyst when it comes to transformation of Ajju Bhai to Aziz Ali. And I think there's a lot of pain in this girl's life. Ananya's life, but how she, rather than victimizing herself, how she channelizes the energy and how she brings out the best, the kind of strength that Ananya has. And I'm so glad to play this character because today I feel like Mrunal is so decisive, so strong, and I represent like also the actors like who are reaching out to me after watching the trailer. They said that Mrunal, we never thought that girls, especially Bollywood actresses, would get such a powerful role. It is so inspiring in itself. It's so motivating, and it's definitely the way other filmmakers, the upcoming filmmakers, are looking at women, girls, and the kind of roles they play. It's a different take. So thank you, Rakesh sir, because it's a dream for all the actresses to be a part of his movie. And the cherry on the top was there's a song, on my character name, and I couldn't have asked for more.
Really special. I must acknowledge that. And you said a lot in there, Mrunal. That's but the last thing that you said about the fact that we are now in a world in an India, I guess, or in a South Asia even, where we're getting more and more of these powerful female roles. I think that's really empowering and inspiring for a lot of girls and men out there, for that matter.
Yes, yes.
So I think, and let me take that then on this note to Ritesh. Ritesh, we are living in a post-COVID world, or hopefully a post-COVID world, but one that's emerging very much into this OTT territory. And as a mega successful film producer, but also someone who's Mrunal used the word ideal, and of course that means stubborn, but that also means conviction, right, to a certain degree. And I think the conviction you have in your work is quite something. So I guess I've got two related questions for you. One is on the conviction. How do you greenlight projects? Because you've done some of the most fantastic work and brought that to our screens. And second, how do in my view, COVID has accelerated pre-existing trends that already existed, but it's accelerated them. What has that impact been on the Hindi film industry, sort of both positive and negative, and how do you see that changing going forward?
Okay, I think the conviction comes on, like, your first question, which was about this film and the emotion. What is that one emotion? So I think it's not the one, it's a combination of various emotions you feel in the journey. So when we read a script, right, whether it's Toofan or any film we made, it's just that, do you believe in this journey? Do you feel the similar emotion the characters are feeling? When they feel there is a certain joy, or there's a certain moments where characters are, do you feel invested enough in them and in their journey, and do you feel the similar emotion? That's what I think draws us into it. So there's some amount, like if you ask me instinctively, it has to be on what level do you connect to it, and does it seem believable? And in most of our work, and if we don't feel that as the filmmakers or producers of it, then we are the wrong people to be with that project. And if we are not convinced with it, we always believe that it's impossible then to go out there and convince millions of other people. So I just feel that it cannot be that one, and that's why even a takeaway from whether it's this movie, there'll be various takeaways. Farhan as an actor might have a different takeaway. Me as watching it with an audience might be different. So I think it's a combination of all this. So that's where it comes from. And the COVID situation, yes, obviously it's thrown everybody. I think the entire world has been reset. Everything. Nobody would expect this could have ever happened. But it did happen, and we all have to rise out of this. So I think what has happened with it is, yes, obviously the restrictions of just the way we are going about trying to make our films right now. It's very, very restrictive. There are a lot of protocols which have to be maintained while we are filming. So it's not ideal right now, but we are obviously adapting to that. And I'm sure everybody else is also in their respective fields. That's what's happening. The opportunity, what has happened with Amazon again, is that we want to tell stories, and right now the best option for us and the safest to reaching out to millions of people is going to be through the OTT platform. So I think that's somewhere they've come in a place where people can't step out. They've been through a lot, personal losses, job losses, and a lot has happened in this 1 year. And I think in some way, some relief can be provided. They can come and celebrate this movie with us. I think this is the platform, and the OTT is the space for it. So I think in some way we are fortunate enough to have that, to provide some kind of engaging entertainment to people within their homes, and also maybe through this movie leave them with a certain thought, at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the human impact that all of you have spoken of, and this is a question, Farhan, for you, and Rakyesh ji, I'd like you to come in after that as well. Between the two of you, you've given us some of the most impactful films that have touched us at so many different levels. Whether it's Rang De Basanti, whether it's Bhag Milka Bhag, whether it's Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, your films have inspired millions, right? So my question is about impact in terms of humans and society. Do you think that it's, one way or the other, in that does cinema have an impact on shaping society? Or, is cinema merely a reflection of society, and therefore what trajectory can we shape through films? I'm quite interested in seeing what your thoughts are on the role of cinema in society.
I do feel that cinema should, in some way, if it's not just purely escapist fare, it should in some way reflect the times that you live in. But what will end up happening in your film is it will reflect your experience of it. It'll reflect your sensibility of how you see life. It will represent your hopes for what you'd like society to be like or the future to be like, which again becomes very subjective, because everyone has different experiences and different motivations to do things. But I would like to believe that, be it from Dil Chahta Hai to Toofan, every single piece of work that Ritesh and I have done as Excel, and I may have done as an actor outside it, has been somehow the filtering through of what I'm taking in from life and somehow trying to show in my films as whether it's to just shine a mirror on something, maybe infuse some hope, just talk about, I've had these wonderful opportunities to direct, to write music, to act, and I've been allowed that because of people believing in me. So a film like Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara or Rock On talks about that. That, I mean, you should live your life to your fullest. So these are experiences that you have that you somehow channelize into your work. So it's a cycle. I think both depend on each other. We make things that start trends, but where did we get that inspiration from? We got it from life. So it's very interesting how it happens. There's a strange kind of what's the right word? A synthesis, so to speak, between the two.
Yeah, and no, that's really interesting. And Rakesh, what do you think on that?
It's a conversation I think we can have over a couple of weeks, if not months. Yeah, there's so much to say, and there's so much to share, and so much to discover in the conversation. It's not, and at times you don't know, but your subconscious and your instincts, they speak through you as such. So maybe I can give a visual example. There's a film called Citizen Kane, and there's this famous moment in the film where Orson Welles is caught between two mirrors, and then the reflection just multiplies into infinity, mirror into mirror into mirror into mirror, till you lose sense of what was real and what was illusion. I think cinema does that to us, and it reflects real life, and real life kind of emulates real life until you really don't know where the line blurred. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've just proven why you are the master filmmaker you are, because I've got that visual right here. And without further ado, I am going to open this up to the media, because I know we have a lot of press who's joined us up from the US, UK, Europe, everywhere. And we have a winner from our student competition as well. So let me just bring up some of our media friends. And very quick note to everyone before I start. Guys, we have very limited time, so just keep your questions really punchy and really succinct. I'll mix and match so as to make sure that we go around everyone and everyone has a chance to ask their questions. So first up, I would like to invite BBC World Service Hindi, please. Can I have Vandana Vijay, please?
Hello.
Hi.
Go ahead, Vandana.
Hi. Sorry, the internet is a bit dodgy, so the video is off. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi. So this question is for Farhan. I very quickly want to ask that, and if you can answer in Hindi, that will be very useful. आपने स्पोर्ट्स पे जो फिल्में की हैं लगातार, मैं ये जानना चाहती थी कि कितना चैलेंजिंग होता है टू प्रिपेयर फॉर अ रोल ऑफ अ स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन, चाहे वो मेंटल जोन हो या फिजिकल जोन हो, इन बोथ द फिल्म्स.
मुश्किल का काम है, लेकिन क्योंकि जो कहानी है वो आपको इतनी प्रेरणा देती है, तो ऐसा लगता है कि जो भी कठिनाई है वो मतलब आसानी से हो जाती है. जैसे ज़िंदगी में अगर आप दिल से अगर कुछ चाहती हैं, तो फिर आप ये नहीं सोचती कि कितना काम करना पड़ेगा, कितने घंटे करने पड़ेंगे, ये करना पड़ेगा, वो इतना दूर जाना पड़ेगा कुछ लेने के लिए. एज लॉन्ग एज योर हार्ट इज सेट ऑन इट. तो उसी तरह से वो भाग मिल्खा भाग हो या तूफान हो, इरादा तो यही था कि जिस तरह से परफॉर्मेंस होनी चाहिए, जब एथलेटिक्स दुनिया के लोग, बॉक्सिंग दुनिया के लोग इस फिल्म को देखें तो उन्हें लगे कि हाँ यार, ये काम जो हुआ है बिल्कुल सही हुआ है, जिस तरह से हमारी ज़िंदगी रिप्रेजेंट हुई है बिल्कुल सही तरह से रिप्रेजेंट हुई है. ये एक्टिंग नहीं कर रही है, ये सचमुच में एथलीट बने हैं, सचमुच में बॉक्सर बने हैं. ये चीज़ें ज़रूरी होती हैं बिकॉज वी आर रिप्रेजेंटिंग अ कम्युनिटी ऑफ पीपल. तो उसी कहते इरादे के साथ हम निकले थे इस फिल्म को बनाने में, और जब आप देखेंगी, hopefully you will feel the same.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anuj from Filmy Shilmi in the UK, please.
Hi, Anuj.
Hi Mrunal, hi Rakesh sir, hi Farhan and hi Ritesh. Firstly, a warm welcome to you all and congratulations on Toofan. Can't wait to watch it. So I think I've got questions for Farhan, Rakesh sir, Ritesh and of course Mrunal too. So Farhan, I think beginning with you, you've always been a pioneer of freshness and bringing this element of freshness in Hindi cinema, whether it's representation of friendship in Dil Chahta Hai or sports in movies like Bhag Milkha Bhag and now Toofan as well. So as an actor and filmmaker, what drives you to present these established concepts in such a fresh and real way?
Honestly, Anuj, these things happen magically here. I don't know how to answer this question because I'm not. A film is never made by one person. So all the films that you mentioned, the reason they felt so magical to you when you saw them was because of the people who directed them, the people who acted in them, the person who shot it, the person who wrote dialogue, the person who did costume, and the list goes on and on. What we can do is we hear something or we read something and there's a certain, I don't know, like an explosion that happens inside, that tells you, you better do this film or you're going to regret it. That's really what happens. And then you just have to say yes. And if that feeling doesn't happen, it's better to say no. So that's all it is. There's, apart from that, no other rocket science to it. But the magic that you feel is not because of one person. The magic is because of many people like-minded coming together to collaborate on something with one vision. And that's what makes it special.
Thanks, Farhan. And can we go next over to America, please? And can I have Vishal from Radio Zindagi?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sanam. Hello, everyone. So I'm Vishal from Radio Zengi 92.3 FM HD2 in San Francisco Bay Area. And thanks for inviting me to this press conference. My question is for Farhan, aka Aziz Ali Toofan. So Farhan, I'm a bit of a fitness enthusiast myself.
I can,
when
I
I
can
saw
see
your
that.
body transformation, when I saw your body transformation in the movie, I was like, wow, he did it again. So my question is simple. Did you know boxing before the movie or did you train yourself for the movie?
No, I didn't know how to box before the film. I have been a fan of the sport of boxing for a long, long time. I was inducted into it in the Mike Tyson years. And then from there, I kind of went back. Obviously, Muhammad Ali is a giant umbrella whose name you always hear. The minute you hear boxing, you hear his name. But I learned more about him, more about Joe Frazier, George Foreman, all the past greats, then Manny Pacquiao, Triple G and all, Anthony Joshua now, or the Gypsy King, and all these people. So I followed the sport, but learning it, appreciating it, watching it on TV is one thing, doing it is something completely different. So I had to start from the ABCs of how to box. For this movie, and I'm really thankful. Of course, there's the experience of the film, which is amazing, but just the fact that I got to also learn this skill, as a result of having done this film, I'm really thankful about that.
Well, I must say, Farhan, you inspire me a lot. So thank you very much. Keep rocking and good luck
Thank
to
you,
the
man.
entire crew.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to take us to Germany now. We have Vera Wessel from Ishq magazine. Vera, please come up with your question.
Hi. Actually, I have also, I want to start with Toofan himself as well, because that fits to the question before. You're a man of multiple talents, as we all know. And as an actor, you're fortunate enough to become someone new in every film and acquire a new skill. Will we ever maybe see you again as someone more ordinary? Or do you think that maybe the audience doesn't want to see you that way anymore?
I don't know how you define ordinary, because ordinary people do extraordinary things. So to me, Ajju is an ordinary guy, the character that I play in Toofan, who ends up doing something extraordinary. When I think of Sky is Pink, the Niren, the Chaudharys were ordinary people who ended up doing something absolutely extraordinary for their daughter and for their family. So the stories are extraordinary, and what makes the characters extraordinary is the journey in the film. So I mean, I think I play ordinary people all the time, and they just end up doing extraordinary things, and that's how I see it.
Yeah, sure. And maybe I can go to Ritesh Sidhwani then, because you work with Farhan Akthar for a long time now, and can you maybe tell us how your working relationship is, and what makes you two such a successful team?
I think with any partnership, I think the base is trust. That is what starts it and forms it. But in what we do, I think it's the similar sensibility, the passion for the way we look at films, the kind of stories we want to tell. And I think that's where it stems from, I think, so success is, I mean, we support each other in what we do. We believe in that. We give ourselves, space. Like if, tomorrow I know he's taking a certain decision on something, I know it's in the best interest of that film. Likewise, I'm sure he has that trust in me. And I think but I think that comes from mainly the having the similar sensibilities to say the same stories, and the passion of films. So it comes from there.
Yeah, and also, do you think that to make a good film, you have to invest a lot of time and energy? Was there ever a moment when you had to tell him maybe this is going too far, especially for a film like Toofan, where you have to prepare so much for this role and everything? Did you ever think, is this really needed?
To be honest, actually, Rakesh and we were discussing this earlier. We were just chatting that you're fortunate to have somebody who's so dedicated, because it's not easy. You're talking of almost 8 or 9 months of serious prep, and you need to be disciplined. And I don't know of anybody else, honestly. I've worked with a lot of you. I'm not saying this because he's sitting here, he's my partner. We were just chatting about this, that I really don't know of anybody else who would give so much time and go with this, So I think we were fortunate to find him being that actor to the character which was written in that,
And, I want to take this. There's a question from Fatima of Asian Sunday newspaper, but I want to take this transformation question to Rakesh ji, because she has a very interesting take on this. And she asks, Farhan's dedication and body transformation of this role has obviously been lauded by all, and we just heard of that from Ritesh too. But what Fatima wants to know is, how does the transformation into a role like this, as the way Farhan has done, help with the director's vision? And how does, when you see that on screen, what could that mean to you, and how does that help you?
I think fortunately for me and for us, we had Bhag Milka Bhag behind us, and which gave us a lot of love, critical acclaim, box office success and everything. So we had gone through a certain journey, and we were like starting from, that was the starting point for us to travel further, to run that extra mile. You learn things, you discover things, and the only way to do that is to do it. So what I have discovered, we'll talk about transformation and learning the boxing and everything. What really sums it up is Farhan doesn't play the role, he becomes the role. And once you become the part, the journey to becoming that part could be near to impossible. But once you become the part, then so many possibilities kind of open up, and there's so much flexibility for the director to call the shots, because your actor has become the part. He is not playing the part. So normally we work in silence. Yeah. There's very little we have to say to each other.
I think there couldn't be more perfection than working in silence and not having to instruct the other person. So that really does sum it up. Can I go to Mrinalini Sundar from Darpan magazine next, please?
Hi everyone, so nice to meet all of you. My question is for Farhan. Hi, I love all your movies. Each movie is a journey in itself. What is the most memorable moment for you in Toofan?
Wow. You know, it's really a next to impossible question to answer. Honestly, I mean, it's been an incredible experience. Um, I think memorable, but not in a happy way, has been the end of the shoot. Because I wanted it to go on. But obviously, we had no more scenes left to shoot, so we had to stop. but to me, it was that. I really wish that we could have done something more. But there was not a single day that I was not excited about getting up and going to work. And I think that in itself sums up, like just every day feeling special and looking forward to meeting the crew, looking forward to meeting the co-actors and just having a great day on set.
Awesome, thank you. I
Oh,
also
thank
have
you.
a question for you now. What is your biggest lesson that you want to tell people through Toofan?
That never give up, channelize that energy in the most positive way, bring out see, life is too short, especially after pandemic. You have to do what you have dreamt of, what you desired, and in the midst of that, in this process, if you can end up motivating someone, guiding, if you can guide someone, I think that's one message I would like to give to the audience, because everybody needs that push. Everybody, talking about mental health. People sometimes they don't feel confident. You have to be that one person who can always, bring out the best in them. So yeah.
That's a really special thing for us to take away, Mrunal. Thanks for that. Can I please have Ruby Raza from Leica Radio next?
Hello there. Hi, everyone. And
Hi.
great listening to all the questions as well. We were fortunate enough on Like Radio to have Mrunal. We had a lot of these kind of moments going on, which was great. So it was really fun. It's the body transformation of Farhan. So Farhan, this one is to you. कि आपको जो body transformation हुआ है, बिल्कुल आपने काफी वजन भी gain किया है इसमें. So that must have been really tough for you, right? To achieve that weight, because you're pretty slim trim, and to achieve that for the movie, how was that for you?
Yeah, as far as the different looks, physical looks in the film go, that was the most difficult to do. Because it's not a weight that my body is used to being at all. So, I've in my life, I've never crossed 74 kgs. And I had to reach about 85, 86 for that look. So it took anything and everything that was possible to be able to do it, to try and get there. After a month of the needle getting stuck at one point and not being able to go forward, I realized it wasn't about the food, it was about the mind refusing to let go. That's really what it was. So that took some just kind of working through, and then we managed to get there. But that was really, really tough. It wasn't easy.
Okay, right. And just very quickly, I know your time is restricted, to Rakesh as well. It's pretty tough portraying a movie that's sport orientated. And you've done obviously fabulously well with your previous movies as well, Bhag Milka Bhag especially. But do you have some memorable moment in Toofan where you found it was really tough to do, something really hard?
Like Farhan was saying earlier, if every day was an anecdote in itself. I've never come back home and slept immediately, because I knew my mind and body needed that rest for next day morning. And even if I didn't know that, it all came together pretty well. If we are looking for that A1 anecdote, yeah, we have a crazy song in the film, you know, where Farhan is just entered the finals of the state championships, and this is the first time his photograph gets printed in the newspaper, and the neighborhood is celebrating, and it's like a lovely song in the film, and Mrunal is there in part of the celebration, and this is the first time. Imagine you have become somebody from nobody, and everybody in the neighborhood is so happy that one among them has gone out there as now in the news. And these are very simple human emotions of you know. So while we were shooting that song, I refused to shoot it on the sets. Every time the production came back to me, my assistants came back and they said it wouldn't be possible to shoot in the neighborhood of Nagpada and Dongri and Muhammad Ali Road, you know, which are among the most crowded places, not just in India but in the world, and most populated. But for lack of good sense prevailing and madness prevailing, we went ahead with it, and everyone was game for it. Both of them were game. So here we had actually filmmaking is also about you know, working within parameters of a budget and the resources you have, because that's also ground reality. I needed around 500 people for it as such, which I was provided for. I was never told no for anything. But when we landed up on the shoot day, there were a good 10,000 people around us, you know, who because we were in their neighborhood. So immediately I decided, let everybody be part of this song. And so the first thing we did is we rehearsed with the neighborhood for 1 hour and said, you are just enjoying. One among you is in the newspaper. And we got some absolutely priceless reactions from them, which are there in the film. And so I think we could be chest thumping all the time about the film we made, but we entered a locality and a neighborhood and we were disrupting their life, and how well people with open arms embraced us. That was so beautiful, and really thankful to the people of Mumbai and of that particular neighborhood as such. Yeah. That will always remain. That will remain with me forever. Yeah.
You know, you spoke about 10,000 people and, you know, bringing that experience into the film. If I took you a few days ago to Wembley, where we had the UEFA finals, I think the next one coming from this stellar team would be a football final. And what won't that do to India for football? So I think we should definitely take you there for that final. But taking this now over back to America, can I have Monita Soni from India Currents, please?
Hi, everyone. Congratulations to all of you on the release of Toofan. I think it's going to be great. I already spoke to Mrunal earlier. This question is for Farhan. There are so many fans, Farhan. And last time I saw you in Atlanta when you were singing.
All right.
So this is going to So tell me how this movie, I know that you're prepared for 8 months and you're such a focused individual. How has it changed you as a person and an actor? Can you throw punches very easily now? Are people scared of you, you know, being around you?
I mean, if I wanted to, I guess I could throw punches very easily, but I think boxing also teaches you to be very, very careful who you punch. So, you know, it actually calms you down more when you're outside the ring. But in terms of what, you know, I feel all experiences in life teach us something, and they alter us in some way. You know, be it a film, be it somebody you meet when you're traveling, suddenly it changes your perspective on something, so that alters you. You lose someone, that creates a vacuum inside you or a void inside you that changes you. So similarly, films do that as well. So be it, again, sorry, just to go back in time, but be it from Dil Chahta Hai to Rock On or to Bhag Milka Bhag and now to Toofan, every single experience, and not just those, all other films, have in some way changed who I am, and in some way there are certain aspects of either the character or some learning from that film that I have carried forward with me on a subconscious level. You don't do it consciously, saying that, oh, okay, Milkha Singh was very dedicated, so I must now be dedicated. That's not what happens. It just becomes a part of you. So similarly, I think with Toofan also, I'm pretty certain that there are learnings which will reveal themselves, I guess, when I get into my next film or when I'm asked to create another character again, that it will happen. But I do believe that evolution, creative evolution, personal evolution, is constant. It just keeps happening, So films are a part of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And my next question is for Rakesh. This is a follow-up question. Farhan is very dedicated, and you've worked with him before in Bhag Milka Bhag. And listening to him, he said he wanted to go back to the set and keep shooting. And sadly enough, there weren't any scenes left. So, I mean, did he do the same thing in Bhag Milka Bhag? He wanted to keep running, and in this one, was his interpretation of his character, Aziz Ali, different from your interpretation? And did you tangle at some point, or how did you interact behind the scenes and on the set?
Let me see how to respond to that. I think in Bhag Milka Bhag we tricked him. So, day one we shot the climax. So he was wondering, okay, I've shot the climax as the film ended. And then as it went, we kept shooting back and forth. So I managed to trick him quite successfully. In Toofan, that was not the case. We had to shoot the film in a linear fashion. We were in Mumbai. So in Bhag Milka Bhag, we were jumping locations. So we had to be, the production had planned it around location and looks. But in this one, it was more linear as such. And I think because the requirement was also one of the toughest requirement, like we discussed earlier, was to put on weight and to put on that extra 12, 14, 16 kilos in a very limited time. So that part of the shooting we kept for the end as such. So, we got that 3 months break, we kept the crew hanging because you just can't keep hiring new crew and stuff like that. We focused on a bit of editing during that time. And those were also very tough days because once we shot the scenes with the full-on weight, with the overweight Farhan, Aziz in the film, and then there's a portion where he trains to lose that weight again. So I think he started enjoying that a lot more, and that's why he's saying I didn't want it to end. So he wanted to get back to shape immediately.
Speaking of difficulties for this film, I know Stacey had some very interesting questions around that topic for Ritesh. So Stacey, do you want to come up and ask your question?
Hi everybody, it's Stacey from Bali Spice.
Hi, Stacey.
Hi, Stacey.
It's good to see you all. Thank you for taking the time. I guess it was for Mr. Sidhwani. What was the most challenging thing from a producer's standpoint of making Toofan?
Honestly, I think the most challenging thing would have been if my co-producer wouldn't have agreed to play the part, because finding an actor who was ready to do all this, and like it's Farhan was once mentioning, like it's easier when you have an actor, because there are two such different parts in the film, one where he has to put on this weight and one where he has to get completely fit. It would have been easier to first do the part where he's actually fatter, and he's put on weight, and then you have a goal towards which you work. So he knows that anyway in 3 months I'll have to achieve this, so that I'll have to start shooting in 3 months, so he'll work. But this was reverse. It was that he had finished doing all the parts where he was completely shaved, and now you have to put on weight. So it worked different. So you honestly, I mean, this is something which I could have been the most difficult part would have been casting and finding the person to come and do that. So that would have been a challenge, but fortunately that was sorted on day one. But yeah, but otherwise, like all movies, they have their own challenges, and every, I mean, I don't think any one of us sitting here can say, because it is what we do, inherently we make movies which is, its medium is unpredictable. So you never know what's going to happen. There'll be, different challenges on a Bhag Milka Bhag, there'll be different on Toofan, on Zindagi, every movie. But it's just that we love it so much that we'll figure out the best solution and go ahead and do it, So yeah, I mean, that's it is.
Can I have Sailesh Ram from Asian Culture Vulture next, please?
Hi everyone, this is Sailesh Ram, AsianCultureVulture.com. I'd like to ask you all, what did you learn about yourselves in the process of shooting this film, especially with the challenges of COVID? Hello, did you hear that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Fortunately, we wrapped up the principal shooting of the film on 17th of March, and it was 21st, I remember quite clearly, of March, when the lockdown was announced. So we had canned the film, as technically put it. Then there was a month of confusion. We really didn't know, or like rest of the world, really, we were getting news from all over, and there was no clarity. There were no vaccines. There was no cure for it, and it was quite dark. There was no light there at the end of the tunnel. But 1 month later, we all regrouped and we said, let's focus on the post-production. Yes, our offices are locked down, so let's shift the editing unit to the editor's house, one to my house. We created a sound studio in the sound designer's house. So the work carried on, though at a slower pace, but it carried on and it kept us engaged. But at the same time, I must confess, with the environment around us and what was going on in the world, it was quite difficult for me to keep the focus on, because there was so much going on everywhere else. But speaking to you, I just felt that maybe it was Toofan which gave us the courage and the energy to go through that, because the story in itself was not just a pulp entertainment fare. It's very entertaining, but there was a lot more going on in the story. So I think that also helped us a lot, to do something meaningful while in times like this, and whatever little one could do with the society and the players at large. Everyone was chipping in their 2 bit.
Can we have Mamta from EBC next, please? Mamta from EBC? No? All right. Can we have Aarti, please? Aarti Jangra, Dr. Aarti Jangra from Kismat Karma.
Hi there, hello everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Big warm welcome from London, from Gizmo TV. As you were all mentioning, OTT platforms are becoming very popular now, and Gizmo TV just launched this year on an OTT platform. So if people can watch your movie on Amazon, they can see Gizmo as well at the same time. So it's pretty amazing. So well done for changing and adapting so quickly post-COVID. Now, my first question is for Farhan. How is this role different to other roles you've done in Bollywood?
Well, I mean, he's a completely different character from any character that I've played. This is the first time I'm playing somebody who's from the streets of Mumbai, so that was new for me. Also, the whole boxing angle is new. What the character represents in the film, his journey is completely different from any character that I've played before. So there's many firsts in this film for me. And hopefully with every film that I do after this, those firsts continue.
Fingers crossed, definitely. I've got a question for Mrunal as well now. How did you prepare for your character? Because your character is quite unique in this movie.
Yes, it is unique. When it comes to preparation, the conversations really helped. The conversation with my director, my writer, my co-actors, and at the same time, I think my mom, because there's a lot of strength that I see, there are a lot of sacrifices that she's gone through. Even though Ananya looks so confident and strong out there, I internally I felt like, will I be able to do that? So I think Farhan, as my co-actor, he was always there to give me strength. He would always motivate me, and he will always tell me that, Mrunal, you always needed this opportunity. Here you have, just explore, just go for it. So that strength, that push I always kept getting on set, be it Farhan, be it Paresh ji, be it Rakesh sir. There were times, there was a scene that we were shooting on the terrace, and the most difficult scene for me as Ananya was because I had to cry and laugh at the same time, and it is the most challenging thing ever. Rakesh sir told me, why don't you just take like 5 minutes? I went down. When I came up, he told me one thing, that he asked me, what if this happens to your father? And I would get really angry. He said, exactly, this is exactly what you have to do. So I took the pressure, but there was no pressure as such. And the way he would explain me things, the kind of conversation, and he also allowed me to connect my memories bring those memories when it comes to Ananya, the situations that she was in. So it was a beautiful journey. There was a lot of exploration that happened in the process. It was an enchanting journey, if I may say so, and I really felt like, also hats off to the doctors, man, the way they are so calm, peaceful, the way they put the stitches, it was not easy, so I had to learn how to put stitches. So in future, in case if there is any emergency around me, I think I'll be able to take care of that. So that's the only thing that I had to go through, yeah.
I think what you've explained quite well, Mrunal, is the role of a mentor, isn't it? Apart from teaching you about the stitches, it's about how they train you and how important that role of a mentor is in one's life, and certainly to everyone. Maybe speaking of mentors in boxing, can we go over to Banging Boxing YouTube, please? Scott Watson.
Oh, wow.
That's going to be a tricky one.
Hi, sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I just wanted to know from Farhan, what boxers did you watch to take any inspiration from?
I can't really say that I watched any boxer with the intention of impersonation or the intention of trying to copy a style. Darryl Foster, who I worked with, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was a boxer himself. Then he was in the corner with Sugar Ray Leonard for years when Sugar Ray Leonard became champ. And then since then has been a choreographer. He's worked on Ali, he's worked on Bleed for This. So his knowledge of boxing is immense. And one of the first things he told me before I got into training was, he asked me, which fighters do you like? So I took the name of Muhammad Ali, I took the name of Mike Tyson, and he said, don't try and be them. He was like, because you will just go train every day. Your natural style, your natural ability will start showing itself. And that's what will set you apart as a boxer from anyone else and what anyone else is doing. And when we recognize that as your team, that's what we'll build the choreography around. So that's really what it was. So, I mean, as much as I'm inspired by their stories and by their journeys and what they represent to to the world of boxing, there's no direct inspiration for the creating of this character or the style of boxing, at least, if that's your question.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks, Farhan. Can we have Mamta Narula from EBC, please?
We can't hear you. We can't hear
Mamta,
you.
we can't hear you. Can you unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. So hi, everyone. This is Mamta from EBC Radio, New Jersey. Because it's a radio station and because I also understand that, Farhan, you are very much into music. So it always feels good to talk to you and interview you. And before I ask a question relevant to Toofan, on behalf of all the radio listeners, I'd just like to say, especially for Farhan, तुझमें कुछ तो बात है, तू औरों से बेहद खास है, तेरी क्या तारीफ करे, माशाअल्लाह, तू बता लाजवाब है.
Thank you.
क्या बात है.
So this obviously, so the question, irrespective of the movies that this team does, Ritesh, Mr. Mehra, and Farhan, and now joining Mrunal. Mrunal, you're very lucky to be working with them, and I'm sure you know that. How do you guys keep it so real in the world where the reality and being real is very, very rare? कैसे मैनेज करते हो और किस तरह से इतने सालों से you have been maintaining that attitude either towards people, towards your fans, towards the industry, towards your work. We can start with Farhan, but this is very important to me, and also in this difficult times of pandemic, right? There is so much going on around us, especially in the industry that you all are. How do you guys keep it real?
Is this for me?
Yeah, she's okay.
You can start for sure.
Okay, all right. I think the most important thing in anything that we do, I think, is gratitude. Because it's very rare that a person gets to make a living doing something that they love. So it doesn't happen to everyone. A lot of people love other things but have to end up doing jobs that maybe isn't that. So when we are in this lucky position that we have loved film, we wanted to be in film and make movies and tell stories and do all this stuff, and people have given us love, given us support, empowered us to be able to do it. Gratitude is very, very important. So, and that keeps you real, because you realize that if it wasn't for the support of other people, if it wasn't for the love of other people, you wouldn't have the strength and you wouldn't have the freedom to do what you want. Again, you surround yourself with people who will always tell you the truth, who will always keep you grounded. That's very important. That's how at least I tend to want to live my life. I guess that's what just keeps me the way I am. I think that's it.
Can we go over to BBC Radio Northwest, please? Neetal Parak.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, everyone in India. I've just seen myself on the big screen, so sorry about that, everyone. My question was for Farhan, but I guess it's relevant to each of you, and I'll be very specific. What 3 learnings do you hope that all the audiences will go away after watching Toofan? And what 3 learnings have each of you taken away after, of course, the movie and watching the movie as well?
Okay. I think the learning out of the film for me, and especially the time we've all been through now in this last 1 year, all of us were in the same place. I think, life throws, like they say, googlies or challenges at you. And I think that's what is happening through this film. And also, but at the same time, life does give you opportunities, right? And there is a very strong character played in this film by Mrunal's character, which is Ananya, which, sometimes you need that one person which helps you make the right choice. And, so I think it's very real in that level, that maybe life will throw challenges at you it'll also give you an opportunity. But if you stay focused and you follow the right path, you'll reach your goal. So that is as simple as that, without being too preachy.
Scott, I know you have one more question, so can we bring back Scott Watson once again, please?
Yeah, perfect, thank you. It's a little bit of an unserious question. Obviously, with the boxing, it's directed at Farhan as well. I just wanted to know, could you ever imagine yourself carrying on boxing after this and maybe entering like entertainment boxing, which we've seen a huge rise in recently?
Scott, I haven't stopped actually since the film was over. I do it. I'm still boxing 3 times a week. I absolutely love it. And as far as entering a ring, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I would love to do it for a cause, maybe, if it helps raise, I don't know, some awareness or some funds for somebody who needs it, or some organization that needs it. Absolutely. Absolutely, I'll do it.
Perfect. Who would you call out?
Sorry?
Who would you call?
Anyone that you would call out for a fight?
Well, I'll leave the challenge to somebody else.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, cheers.
Farhan, this is the very final question we have, and it's actually from one of our students at the University of Warwick, Julie Narkar, who, speaking of challenges, has a very interesting question. And she says, as a university student, we are in the process of making critical career choices and figuring out what we want to become. How did you decide to become who you are when you were our age, say in the early 20s? And how did you know if it was the right decision? I think she's turned up now. Julie, do you want to, does that summarize your question well?
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
Well, hi. I think with me, from a very young age, I did know that I wanted to be involved in film because it was something that I absolutely loved. And whenever I thought of my future, I did think of entertainment. At that time, I didn't know whether it would be writing, directing, acting, producing. I didn't know, but I knew film was what I wanted to do. The biggest mistake that I made was, for the longest time, that I lied to myself saying that's not what I want. I don't know, for some strange reason, because I'm from a film family, I was a bit embarrassed about it. I just thought that if I tell people I want to do film, they'd be like, oh, obviously, because his parents are in film, he wants to do the same thing. So I would just randomly tell my parents I want to do different things and never ever follow up on them. And that really stressed them out, because they thought that I'm not going to amount to anything, because I'd do something for a year, 6 months, 3 months, and then quit. So I think the important thing is to first not lie to yourself. Be very, very honest to yourself about what it is that you want to be, what you want to do, and then pursue that relentlessly and with all your heart, regardless of what anybody else says or thinks. That's the only advice that I can give to anyone.
And I think that's a wonderful message to leave us with. And, we've spoken so much about resilience, about persistence, about determination. And I think all our students and everyone in the audience can take that away. We will go into a very quick photo opportunity shortly. Can I just get my colleague Vignesh Karthik up next for closing remarks, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Sanam. I will keep this short. In fact, thank yous are said quite often for varied reasons, but the quantum of the gratitude varies a lot. With today's thank yous, I'm sure that they're immensely filled with gratitude. Thank you for an engaging discussion about the film. In fact, films are by far one of the most powerful media to disseminate ideas to people at large. Rakesh sir, a couple of generations of youth have been and continue to be inspired by your films. Ritesh sir, your approach to production and choice of stories you brought to screen alongside Farhan sir, and the concomitant contribution to the art and the craft could take an entire discussion in itself. Farhan sir, your versatility vis-a-vis your skills and across multiple skills is an inspiration, to say the least. Mrunal, your work and choice of movies make you one of the most promising stars in the time ahead, and we wish to see more of what you're doing. In fact, a couple of lines, boxing is a metaphor for life. It is about getting back up again and again and again, and the idea of love being the only means to survive in this and negotiating the world out there are worth pondering over. Thank you very much for those lines. And lastly, everyone has a fight to fight. There is no denying that. A few fights are made into examples and become examples owing to the relatability within the society or the profoundness of the fight as such. Self-respect is a fundamental right of everyone in the world, and the importance attached to Izzat in this film, at least in the trailer, is heartening. We look forward to watching it this week to see, appreciate, and internalize the message that the movie has to offer. We get to decide who we want to be, and we should is a simple but a very profound message to hold on to and live by towards building a cohesive society marked by respect for everyone. Thank you very much for doing this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't think anyone could have summarized us better than that. So thanks, Vignesh, and thank you all for, what a very, very interesting conversation. But you know what? We now have a final virtual opportunity for a photo op. So if everyone can please turn their cameras on, and we'll get a nice photo with our stars for today.
We'll join in there.
Aye.
Yeah, come.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Wish you the very best of luck, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
it'll be a stellar film to watch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you.
No?